Hey, it's NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Andrew Limbong. The actor Brooke Shields is on the pod today. She's got a new memoir out called Brooke Shields is Not Allowed to Get Old, Thoughts on Aging as a Woman. It's about her life now, coming into her own as a grown woman. But it's fascinating to look down at her IMDb, at those early roles, which were textually about being sexualized at a young age, right? In Pretty Baby, she plays the child of a sex worker. The tagline is literally the image of an adult through a child's eyes. In The Blue Lagoon, she plays a young girl who gets stranded on an island with her male cousin, and they get older and discover sex together. And there are more like this. And for a lot of people, this is the Brooke Shields they know. But as she puts it in this interview, that's only a part of the full painting. Her interview with NPR's Leila Fadel is up ahead.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from the Southern Environmental Law Center. Right now, the world is at a crossroads for the environment, and SELC is ready to tackle the challenges ahead, ready to hold the line on environmental protections, ready to ensure people have the clean air, clean water, and healthy climate they deserve, and ready to stand up to powerful interests in the courtroom, the halls of government, and communities across the South. To learn more, visit southernenvironment.org.
Maybe you remember Brooke Shields as the face of Calvin Klein jeans, the sexually exploited child in Pretty Baby, or the funny lead in the sitcom Suddenly Susan.
People want you to be the way they remembered you when you mattered to them in a different way, whether they saw your movie or they liked your television show or they had your picture up or something that's very personal to them.
But today, Brooke Shields is a grown woman, and at 59, she's out with a book on this new era in her life. It's called Brooke Shields is Not Allowed to Get Old, and it was inspired by a slight at a party when she revealed her age to the man hosting the evening.
The person's demeanor changed instantly.
In what way?
They said, "Oh, I wish you didn't say that." I was just like, "You wish I didn't say what? Like, told you my age?"
She says she's not going to let the world make her feel invisible because she had the gall to get older. And as a businesswoman and entertainer today, she's got a message for women of all ages. And just to let you know, there is some bleeped profanity in this conversation.
I mean, I have two young women daughters, 18 and 21. And I joke about it, like my knees are practically down to my ankles, at this point. And everything on them is like high and pert and taut and peachy and, and you're just like, God, wow. And then, you get a glimpse at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh boy, okay. And you got to be careful that you don't make that so negative in your life that you start thinking you're less than.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just look great for 59. I just want to look great because I feel great and because I got my roots done yesterday. Like, that gives me a whole new lease when I don't see my gray roots. Like, and that's okay. Like, I think that's a healthy way of treating one's ego, Do the things that make you feel the best about yourself, but then admit, I don't want to look like my daughters. I've grown up into this person, this body, this face, and this whole person has done a lot and seen a lot and survived a lot and lived through a lot. And my painting has gotten more defined.
I love that.
And I think that to me, each brushstroke, each color, each shading is like, has just made me more interesting and there's more depth. And I think that when I start focusing on that, I start looking more beautiful to myself. And I think that that is something women deserve to do.
There is a line that stuck with me. You write, "Who knew in a career where I started as a prostitute at age 11, where I played a mother at age 15, that valuing myself at 59 would be my most provocative choice."
To last this long in my industry is definitely not the norm. But when you look at how people react to me, there's been controversy surrounding me since a very, very early age.
Yeah.
But this strength, it started when I went to college because getting an education made me more formidable. And that was not reacted well to by the press because they couldn't push me around as much and they couldn't decide my answers for me. And that was threatening to them. Now at this age, there's more of me to contend with because I don't have the same depth of insecurities that I used to. I don't roll over so easily, and I don't apologize. I stand much stronger now. And I think the irony is that people are like, well, this is a bait and switch. What do you mean? You're not easily swayed and you're not playing the sweet girl. And I can't believe you stuck up for yourself like that. And to me, that was interesting that in and of itself, like a life well lived, they're not quite sure what to do with it.
This message comes from Charles Schwab. When it comes to managing your wealth, Schwab gives you more choices, like full-service wealth management and advice when you need it. You can also invest on your own and trade on Thinkorswim. Visit schwab.com to learn more. This message comes from Intuit TurboTax. Now, Taxes is matching with an expert backed by tech to get you the most money back at TurboTax.com. Experts only available with TurboTax Live. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
I think it can be hard to unlearn certain habits, especially if they served you well for a time. In this next part of the interview, Brooke Shields talks about her relationship to sweetness, to being agreeable, which she says did help her in those early years of her career until it didn't anymore. Here's Leila.
Was it hard to learn to stand up for yourself, especially starting in this industry so young? I think you talk about how your mom talked about how it's so important to be liked, for people to like you. You are and were so beautiful, and people notice that. I mean, was it hard to get to a point where you could say no?
Yeah, because it wasn't my currency. Do you know what I mean? Like being sweet got me really far. You know, it got me jobs, it got me approval. Everybody met me with, oh, she's so sweet, no, this and that. And then as I got older, sweet started to become a little bit of a liability because you realize people don't really, in work-wise, they don't necessarily care about you, you know, and that was kind of shocking to me. And I thought, but they like me. And I was like, no, it's not really about liking you. It's kind of about they get what they need from you. And then I had to realize that being liked wasn't the goal. Enough already of being the pushover. I think that's what I was sort of trying to say, is that you get a little bit tired of always being taken for granted.
I mean, you started in Hollywood at 11 years old. You were being questioned by the press about whether your mother was doing a good job, about your measurements.
Crazy.
You lived through sexual assault. I mean, I didn't even know this about your femur, that you broke it during COVID, and all these other medical issues you've been through. First of all, do you think people just assume you've just lived this beautiful, charmed life because you are beautiful and in the public eye?
Well, I mean, I think that we do that to people and actresses and models, and it's part of what we project. You know, it's part of our job to create fantasy, and we want to be able to know that those lives are possible. You know, we don't want them necessarily to be human because then what does that mean for us? Like, people want to escape into that and they want to dream. But I also think my trials or tribulations, they were played out on a larger scale just because they were witnessed by people. But if we really just all look at how hard it is just to get to this age, I think we'd be surprised, like, how much we've all lived through.
Yeah.
I highlight mine just because I want to say, like, come on, you guys, you've all gone through too.
Yeah.
It's no worse or better. And I think that when we start kind of normalizing how hard it is to just be a woman and go through everything and reach this, then I think we'll start patting ourselves on the back a little bit more and saying, like, hey, that's pretty great. It's cool. Look at what you've survived, you know? Look how you've chosen not to be a victim. You know, I want my girls to know that they're going to go through stuff. Go through it. That's the point. You go through, and then you look back and you think, wow, look what I just survived.
There's a tendency for the world to want to, like, retire women at a certain age. Like, you're not useful anymore. You're not beautiful enough anymore. You can't have kids. You can't have... And your book is about not letting that happen.
Yeah, I like how you say not letting it happen, because we don't have to be angry about it. We don't have to have regret. But I think we deserve to be able to say, look at how fabulous this really is. I joke that, I wish everything was higher and tighter and okay. But I mean, then I look back and I think, you healed. Look how you healed. Look how you had babies. Like, you birthed them.
Yeah.
You fed them with your body. Like, it's just so bizarrely cool. Like, and then you look at, I'll look at my career and I'll think, look at how much you've done, and you gotta give yourself a bit of credit.
Do you ever wish you had been more angry or more righteous in moments? I mean, I'm thinking about this one particular moment you write about where you go in for a medical procedure and you come out and the male surgeon's like, I also gave you a rejuvenation that you didn't ask for while you were knocked out. Which is what? And you never sue him. You didn't really go after him.
I didn't. I think
it's a morning show. I don't know if we talk about vaginas on the morning show.
I don't know if we can say labia, but it's a big dirty word. I think I wasn't strong enough. I didn't feel secure enough in my career for it to yet again be about my anatomy. Maybe if I had been on a hit show at the time and I was high on my game and felt like my career was where I wanted it to be, and who knows, whatever insecurities I was experiencing. And I just didn't want it talked about again. Like, I finally felt like I was past being defined by my virginity,
Right.
I don't know if it's about anger. I think it's my shock and my disappointment was so acute, but it felt so familiar.
Yeah.
It just felt like, oh, here we go again. This is what's going to happen again.
Yeah.
I don't know why you think it's going to be any different, Brooke. That was something I had to sort of grow into being able to say, like, this is like, if I have a seizure, it's not because I was worried about my salt intake for dietary reasons. You wouldn't ask a man that.
Which is what happened to you. You had a seizure and someone was like, oh, are you trying to lose weight? Is that why this happened?
Yeah. And they probably would have said to a man, like, oh, are you training for a triathlon and you didn't have electrolytes because you're an Iron Man? No, and they asked me about my dietary restrictions.
What would 59-year-old Brooke Shields tell 11-year-old Brooke Shields? If you could today say something to her?
I think you are going to be just fine. You are going to be okay. And you, as you, are enough. You are enough as a person.
Brooke Shields, her new book is Brooke Shields is Not Allowed to Get Old, Thoughts on Aging as a Woman. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
And that's it for this week on NPR's Book of the Day. If you want more, you can sign up for our newsletter at npr.org/newsletter/books. I'm Andrew Limbong. The podcast is produced by Danica Panetta and Chloe Weiner and edited by Megan Sullivan. Our founding editor is Petra Mayer. The show elements for this week were produced and edited by Adriana Gallardo, Monsi Carana, Samantha Balaban, Melissa Gray, Sarah Handel, and Elena Burnett. Beth Donovan is our managing editor. Thanks for listening.
This message comes from Warby Parker. Prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Glasses designed in-house from premium materials starting at just $95, including prescription lenses. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you. This message comes from Warby Parker. What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost, like free adjustments for life. Find your pair at warbyparker.com or visit one of their hundreds of stores around the country.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Rosetta Stone, an expert in language learning for 30 years. Right now, NPR listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership to 25 different languages for 50% off. Learn more at rosettastone.com/NPR.